YouTube, we are live, and we are here to talk about the end of Heavy Rain. So we just beat Heavy Rain. It was the final game, well, not the final game on the list completed, but like the final game that we played recently. And I liked it a lot. Honestly, I think when we were playing the game, someone's like, you have no clue who the guy is, and you're going to be shocked. And to be honest, true. Obviously spoilers. Obviously, Scott being the killer was so bizarre because he was like the coolest guy in my opinion. He just reminded me of Mike. I don't know why. And I guess that's how they get you. They make you care about someone, and then it's like, well, he's a freak. So that's unfortunate. But I thought it was a good game. I think I gave the game like what? A 7.75. It's between like a 7.5 and an 8 in terms of like enjoyment, in terms of just fun, honestly. I mean, the game is so jank, and I think with that jankness, I wouldn't even peel away any sort of like rating. It's just of the time, you know? Like, you walking around as a robot, you talking like a robot. Apparently, it's the guy's first voice acting gig or whatever it was, so that's fine. But we are going to watch a video on the best bad game Heavy Rain analysis by Ratat. And we'll just kind of go into it. It's about 30 minutes and go from there. But the story was good. I feel like for an interactive story, you kind of hate yourself if you fuck up a few times, and I feel like I fucked up a few times with like killing a few characters. In the end, I feel like it played out fine, but in the heat of the moment, you're like, oh my god, what did I just miss? You know what I mean? It's like, what actually am I losing because this person just died? And probably a lot in hindsight, but, you know, you'll learn to live with it. So, let's do it. That is a big warning. Is that really everything that's in this game? Child endangerment. Murder of children, domestic abuse, substance misuse, addiction, suicide, self-harm, sexual harassment. That's in the game. That's true. That is in the game.
2010's Heavy Rain is an interesting game to talk about because it's hard to entirely pin down. On the one hand, it's been called one of the best games of all time and a massive step forward for advancing games as an art form. On the other hand, it's...
Someone did also say that at the very end of the game, they were like, at the time, or I think it was during the beginning of the game, they were like, this was one of the most peak things you could play back in the day. Is that true? Like, visual fidelity-wise, was this one of, like, the best games at the time? It was? I mean, you know, the game looked good, though. I can't even remember what went on 10 years ago, but, like, I thought the game looked good. It was a little bit stiff. Like, you know, the dad's sitting there, he's like, I cannot wait for my kids to come home, and we can all watch television like human beings. I am going to watch television right now and wait for my kids to come home. It's so weird. It was so... There's so much jank to, like, the early animations in the game. I think it picks up. It gets a bit better when everyone's doing things, but, like, when you've got people chilling, it's so strange. Or, when he's kind of, like, walking around in the house and you go downstairs, you're like... But your face, you're just head on. Like, there's no head movement. You're just... So weird.
Well known for being silly and janky.
Jason!
True.
Jason!
What a...
The game is a great attempt to introduce serious topics and themes to the medium and really pushes the boundary for what AAA games were willing to touch on for the time. But the game is also sometimes just wacky nonsense, and the story is riddled with plot holes and confusing decisions. I don't think in the last 15 years we've had anything quite like it. It really is a one-of-a-kind anomaly, both for the topics it focuses on and how it handles them. Across the story, Heavy Rain will hit you with some of the most affecting moments and raw humanity you'll find in the medium. At other points, it'll floor you with its bizarre decisions and immersion-killing jank. I'm unsure if this is a great game with bad parts or a bad game with great parts, if it's the best bad game ever or the worst best game ever. At points I was almost in tears with how personally this story hit me, at other points I was crying laughing. This strange dual nature is true of all facets of the game, from development to content to reception, so let's work through all of it.
This guy looks like the main character in the guy you play in Detroit. We didn't finish Detroit. We played like 30 minutes to an hour of Detroit, but like this guy totally looks like Detroit. The main dude. I don't know why, he just does. Connor, is that his name? Apparently this is the studio that did the Detroit game. And when I was playing Detroit and then I went back and played this, I'm like, yeah, 100%. This feels like it was just the evolution, or vice versa, I should say.
A holistic look back at this wonderfully strange game. Before that, thanks to the channel members, and remember to press the engagement buttons if you want to do me a favor. Heavy Rain is the successor to the 2005 Quantic Dream game Fahrenheit Indigo Prophecy, and in many ways is a refinement of the ideas presented in that game. Both games are murder mysteries, both have a commitment to immersion, both were initially penned as supernatural stories, so these elements were cut from Heavy Rain very shortly before release, much to the game's detriment. Seeking to push the boundaries of what was acceptable—
Wait, so, you know what? Why did we even have flashbacks as this guy? Why did we black out as, fuck, what's his name? This guy. What was this guy's name again? Shit, it was right on the, like, the tip of my tongue. Not Madison, not Norman. Ethan. Ethan Winters. Yeah, not Winters. Why did you have blackouts? And they gave you, like, the whole red herring. They're like, oh, you're maybe the killer, but you're not the killer. Obviously, that was kind of like the whole thing with, maybe I've got a split personality disorder. Maybe I'm killing children. Maybe I'm not. They supposedly, Dage wanted a magical element and link between Ethan and the killer. That's so weird. So that's why he had the whole blackout sequence. It was supposed to be him through the eyes of the killer. I mean, there's a few things in this game that don't really line up. That was one of them, but, you know, hearing that in hindsight, or not hindsight, in, like, post, when the game was going to get launched, they're like, okay, maybe can this? I guess that makes sense.
To depict in the medium of gaming, delving into child endangerment, domestic abuse, suicide, mental illness, and substance misuse, David Cage and the team at Quantic Dream braced themselves for controversy and started looking for publishers. The game was initially pitched to Microsoft, but they wanted to remove all child endangerment and murder, the central point of the entire game, so the deal fell through, and the game was eventually picked up by Sony and published as a PlayStation 3 exclusive in 2010. The game was eventually released for PC in 2019 on Epic Games, with a Steam release in 2020. This development process was long and arduous, with major plot points being cut, several characters having aspects of their plot abandoned at the concepting phase, cancelled DLC that would explain parts of the story that are now just ignored, and an entire overhaul to integrate PlayStation Move technology that set development back by as much as 2 years. As mentioned earlier, major supernatural elements of the game were removed mere months before release, leading to strange plot holes. The nature of the game also makes it hard to strike a balance of game mechanics and cinematics, with David Cage saying that he wanted to embrace the tropes of film and theatre, but felt that he had to sometimes compromise to make the game feel like a game. Quote,
True.
I try to back away, but sometimes I feel bad about this and get to feeling I need to do something a little bit more gamey. But I'm happy with the balance in Heavy Rain because it's almost like a reference to old games and old adventure games especially. There's a discussion to be had.
I gotta say, the way you play this game is like CBT. Like, this is ball-stomping trash. Okay, some of it is fine, but it is so... Since it's such an older game, and you're playing on a controller that's like... Well, I mean, the PlayStation 3 controller wasn't bad, but it just doesn't feel like it... It's QTE City, exactly. Yeah, QuickTime Event City. Mixed with, I mean, if you're on a mouse and keyboard, there was nothing fun about that. It was intense, and you're like, oh shit, QWER, oh my fucking, what do I? That was fun at times, I guess, but I don't really know how you would have done it back in the day, to be honest, because this is more of an interactive movie, right? This isn't really a video game. This is an interactive movie. This is like the old Final Destination bullshit DVD thing where basically you were supposedly in control of everyone's destinies. So I don't know if you knew this, but back in the day they had like a DVD feature for one of the Final Destinations where when someone was about to die or have something happen to them, you'd go on your remote and you'd click one of the options and it says run left, run right. And it was just so trash, it didn't even matter what you clicked, they would still die. The movie would still like just go on as normal. At least that's what I can remember. Obviously this matters, but this is a movie that you play. It's not a game.
Here, one beyond the scope of this video, but worth thinking about. Why do game developers like Cage make games and not films? I've seen similar criticism levied against Hideo Kojima.
Kojima. You know, it is interesting though that companies are willing to make more cinematic games than a video game, because why not? You know, some people probably want that medium. Some people want to make games even though they're more like movies, right? And then people make movies that are like games. Like, I don't know if you've seen, I think it was like Hardcore Henry or some shit where it was like first-person view for the entire movie, and he went around killing people. It was like a whole John Wick, like, crazy FPS type of, like, shit show. And they had it at the end of Doom 3 as well, where it was, like, supposed to be a throwback to the game itself. Hardcore Henry, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it goes the same way. It's like, well, at that point, why not just make a game, right? There's an option in Life is Strange to skip the gameplay. That's crazy. Well, you know what? It's a medium that people want to delve into. That's fine. Even if you don't want to make a movie, I mean, maybe you're making a game, right? Like, it goes both ways.
Supermassive Games, Telltale, and other developers who commit to the tropes of the medium of film and focus heavily on their cinematic angle. When asked why he makes games and not films, Cage said, "My primary goal is not exactly to tell stories. My primary goal is to make you feel something. Destroying or killing is not the ultimate definition of interactivity. Changing something in your environment, talking to someone, feeling something, making a meaningful decision. This is interactivity too." This considered, we can understand a lot of the intent of Heavy Rain and why it works and doesn't work. The game has a strong focus on immersion and interactivity. It takes great pains to fully and completely immerse you in the character's worlds, down to letting you do mundane things like washing your hands or going for a piss.
True. I did a lot of that in Red Dead.
This is a bit of a double-edged sword. The game sometimes feels like it adds gameplay elements purely as a kind of compromise, and the story feels as though there are sometimes correct and incorrect choices rather than branching paths. On top of this, the rocky development left a lot of the game feel...
I'm not gonna lie, I know I keep pausing just to yap, but like, every single time we played this, every single sequence that showed up, where it was life and death, obviously you want to succeed. If you're getting your head clubbed in, no, you don't want to fucking fail and then have your brains get splattered everywhere, and you feel so bad for doing it. Like, if you fail, you feel so miserable, and you feel like you've missed part of the story. Even though if you fail, it's a different branching part of the story, right? It shifts to kind of what you do, because it is a story that you make up as you play. But it still feels wrong, because, like, in my mind, when someone makes a game like this, they always have their definitive way of kind of writing it, and then it's like, well, if the player sucks dick, here's the alternate path, right? Kind of like the canon ending versus the non-canon fan service shit, whatever it may be. That's kind of how I viewed this, with me failing half of the things in this game. Like, me getting arrested at the motel, it's like, would I really get arrested? Well, maybe. Maybe. Does that feel right, or do I get away? You know, so I guess in the end, you know, you're telling the story through your gameplay, but I always feel like if you fail, you're kind of like ruining the canon ending.
Feeling half-finished or ill-conceived, lacking at points in the concrete and thematically concise direction of a conventional emotive experience like a film or a book. That said, the game was still well received upon release, being a bestseller in Europe and the United States, moving a million units worldwide in its first month and receiving immense critical acclaim. In the time since its release, numerous games journalists and independent
Okay. 90. Oh my god. 100. Sorry, PlayStation. Is this the official PlayStation magazine saying the game is 100 and it was a PlayStation exclusive? Or this is the PlayStation official PlayStation. What is this? Fanzine or something? I mean, you know what though? The game is around like an 8. It's like a 7 to an 8. Yeah, it's pretty good. The 100 greatest video games of all time. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, well, 2010. Yeah. This is 16 years ago.
voices have upheld Heavy Rain as one of the greatest games of all time. A particular reasoning for this was the game's emotional rawness and the compelling mystery at the heart of it all. As mentioned, alongside its heavier themes, Heavy Rain also builds upon its predecessor Fahrenheit. One way
Maybe
in which
not
it
an
does
8.
this is
Yeah, maybe not
gamifying
8.
the mundane of this Cage states. My favourite scene in my previous game, Fahrenheit, was one where a character wakes up in the morning, has a shower, takes his clothes, drinks coffee and chats with his wife before going to work. I had real doubts writing this scene and I thought it would be incredibly boring.
It's interesting that someone would say that because I also find that to be some of the most interesting stuff in a game. Not because it's so interesting. Like, it's so mundane that it makes you feel like you're in the experience more. Does that make sense? Like, for a game to have you, it helps you, exactly. It's like, this is not a video game character, this is a character who's living and breathing. That's why Red Dead is so amazing. That's why I even feel like Subnautica does it really well, even though it's not a cinematic, it's more of you doing these things to survive. You feel like you're alive, you feel like you're there, you have to go after water, you have to eat food, you have to cook the food. It helps build out the immersion, it helps build out a sense of care for what's going on and what you're doing, to make you more invested in the game. Ryan, hello, sir.
But when we played it, it
Yeah.
felt immediately right. There was nothing spectacular, but only a strange feeling of sharing the
And then at
intimacy of the
that point, fucking send your guy to space, send him to Mars. I don't care where he goes, but it's the fact that you're behind someone who is real and can die. Right? I don't know. I like games that feel, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I want to play games to get away from reality. My take on gaming is I want to experience an alternate reality that is still believable. Right? Which I guess is escaping reality, but that alternate reality could still be eating and drinking and going to work and doing things, but in a different way. So that's cool. I like that.
character of being a part of his own life. In this sense, Heavy Rain works in service of Cage and Quantic Dream's design vision. It crafts a deeply intimate and personal story in spite of a few immersion-killing moments. To best illustrate why this works, let's look at the story together.
When the parents came home from church, all their children were gone. They searched and called for them, they cried and begged, but it was all to no avail. The children have never been seen again.
Scott, why are
Heavy
you a
Rain
freak?
is the story of Ethan Mars and his family, following the loss of his son Jason
Jason!
after a car accident outside a shopping mall.
This is the stupid. Okay, the writing. This alone looks like the robots. Like, I will help you, human child who is stupid enough to walk into the middle of the road with a balloon and then run back through the road with a balloon. Like, yeah, it was really, really dumb. This game is amazing. Did you like it? This game, Heavy Rain has its moments for sure. The intro. I'll say this: if you can make it past the intro, this game is good. No, I liked it. I thought this game was good. We beat it yesterday in full in one sitting. So if you can get past the intro, which there's nothing wrong with the mundane. There's nothing wrong with, like, I'm gonna sit down and drink coffee and watch TV and wait for my kids to get home. That's fine, especially in a real story like this, where it's not, you know, paranormal or anything. I mean, there's so much jank to the intro. It was jank, it was stiff, it was so goofy, and, like, I don't know if it was trying to be ironic in any way. It was just weird. Drawty, thank you, buddy. I couldn't get through the intro. I don't blame you. I literally don't blame you. How did the dad survive here? I have no clue. Well, probably for throwing the kid in front of him, because he lived and the kid died. So, Lee, thank you, sir.
Ethan is a depressed divorcee who suffers from frequent blackouts. During one such blackout, his surviving son Sean is kidnapped by the Origami Killer, a serial killer who kidnaps children and forces their fathers to undergo deadly trials to try and save them. Ethan slowly loses his sanity and puts himself through horrific challenges to try and find and save his son, including driving into oncoming traffic, walking.
Sorry that I keep pausing it, but since this is kind of like my thoughts on the game, when we were doing these trials, I literally thought my character was a psychopath because he put himself through these trials for some unknown reason. That, to me, that's what it felt like initially. Am I wrong? For the people who've played this game, did it feel like your character did this to himself? Which he wasn't doing that to himself. It was complete bullshit. I guess that's the point. They want to make you feel like, oh my god, Ethan is split personality disorder, and half of him is creating these trials to prove his worth to his kids or some shit. He's a psychopath. I don't know. You thought he was a psycho? I think everyone thought he was a psycho at this point. Well, the wife is gone. What happened to his wife? That's how I felt? Yeah. Well, that's how it felt? 100%. It's the red herring. Yeah. Well, that's the point of, I guess, a murder mystery, right? With an unstable main character. You question his motives. You question what he's doing. It's like, is the guy in control of himself, or is he abducting his own child and throwing him in a saw trap and then planning his own, like, trials to save him? What the fuck would have that? What is that? What is that? That's so strange. That's how it made you feel, though.
Crawling through glass, cutting off his finger, murdering another father, and drinking poison. Meanwhile, he's aided by the reporter Madison Page, who he meets at a motel after she patches him up following his first deadly trial. Whilst all of this is going on, the Origami Killer is being investigated by two detectives that we play as. The first is Norman Jayden, a drug-addicted FBI agent who makes use of extremely futuristic technology to analyze DNA and track down suspects whilst serving face. The second is Scott Shelby, an old-school private eye who gathers clues from former victims of the Origami Killer, giving us some insight into the impact the murders have had on families.
Shelby is an absolute freak. If there was anyone in this game who was a freak, it's him. And basically him alone. I give this game like a 7.5 to an 8, but we're going to finish this and then I'll probably rate it again. I mean, we know that Shelby was the killer. We only knew that at the end of the game when it told us, but it did subvert quite a bit throughout the game. It's so crazy to me. I guess I feel like I've heard this before, where the killer, this is even in real life, where killers return to, like, the scene of the crime for some, like, weird psychological reason. I mean, Shelby is a private detective who has taken kids and put them through trials, put their parents through trials to basically say, are you a good father? Are you going to care enough about your child to risk your life to come save them? It's like Saw. You fucked up and now reap what you sow, whatever. And he then goes out and works with the widowed family. Well, I guess not widowed family all the time. I mean, some of the fathers die. But he works with the family, or rather interacts with families who he's killed their children with. Isn't that just so, like, ew? That's so weird, man. Like, literally, Lauren lost her kid. This chick, he killed her son. And yet she's going to sit here and work with him because he's worked her over, and they're basically running in circles. That's so weird. That's just weird. Some trials failed, resulting in so much death and horror. Exactly. It wasn't even that, like, oh my god, come save your child, or you're a bad father. It's like, well, you're a bad father, you're dead, and now your kid's dead, and the family fell apart. Like, she was so depressed. Her husband left, her son died, and she tried to, do bad things to herself in the bathtub, right? And then he saved her! That's even more fucked up. He's like, prolong your suffering and come with me. That is weird. Like, he's just so deeply disturbed as a character. It's weird. Kind of reminds me of like a Red Dead character, honestly, where you like them, but then they turn out to be like the biggest freak, like Micah.
Across these 4 storylines, we're allowed to approach the story from numerous angles, with any combination of the 4 arriving at the final showdown after putting together the clues through their own unique avenues of investigation.
So weird.
The game's ending is determined by who arrives at the final scene, how quickly they make it there, with a major plot twist being that they can't.
Sorry, one sec. All right, sorry. We're back. You know, Micah is a freak from the start. This dude seemed pretty heroic at first. Oh, 100%. That's why I like the guy.
All survive because one of the player characters is the killer. Before revealing who the killer is and talking more about that specifically, I do want to encourage you to play the game if you haven't already. No plot recap could do it justice. I can rag on this game all day for the dated motion capture, the immersion killing voice acting, and how clunky it feels at points, but there were moments in Heavy Rain where all of this was washed away, and I felt like I really got what Cage meant when he said his
100%.
primary goal was to make me feel something. For a relatively spoiler-free, quite quick example, my favourite scene of the game is when Scott Shelby is trying to find evidence on the origami killer at a rundown house
It's so cursed.
with a baby inside. However, whilst looking...
Sorry, I'm an idiot. I thought, when I talked about that 2 seconds ago, I said this was Lauren. This isn't Lauren. This is another woman who he killed the son of. For some reason, my head thought this was Lauren, but Lauren was the first chick that you meet, the prostitute, in the motel. And yet she still works with you.
for evidence, he finds the mother with slit wrists in the bathroom, attempting to take her own life after the origami killer has taken both her husband and son.
That's so fucked up. This guy is... You'd never suspect a damn thing. That's crazy.
Investigation and the wider mysteries all fall into the background as Shelby saves this woman's life and then comforts her by looking after her baby, saving the life of both mother and child and encouraging the woman to live for the sake of her daughter. The game has, completely unequivocally, succeeded in its aim here. It's put me in the moment as the character. It's made me feel something. It fully and totally immersed me in the kind of horrifically real and emotionally raw situation that the entire game was built around showcasing. But this scene is even more compelling with the full context, and for that we need to go into spoilers, so leave now if you don't want those for this 15-year-old game.
True, 15.
Okay. This scene is even more emotionally affecting because Scott is the origami killer. He killed this woman's son and husband. He put her in this situation. He almost left this baby without a mother and has left her without a brother and a father. Scott's motivation for killing is the loss of his own brother following an accident wherein his drunk father didn't help to rescue his brother from drowning. Scott believes himself to be on a moral crusade, looking for the father he never had and testing people's love.
Yeah, that's such a weird thing. Like, is that believable? That a guy was so deeply disturbed as a child that his father wouldn't even walk over and save his brother from drowning, like less than a minute away? That the kid became so fucked up that he wanted to do this, like, later in life. He's like, if you're worthy as a father. I'm sure weirder shit has happened. Yeah. I believe it. I believe that this could be a thing. That would have happened. All of this, like, pent-up trauma. Yeah. But he also became a cop. So where did it all go wrong? There have been worse cases in life. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I don't really like plot lines that change the whole course of the story without any clues whatsoever. It feels so pointless. Well, I guess that's kind of the sake of this game, though, right? Because, like, you kind of make that a thing if you fail or you succeed in kind of, like, what's going on in the scene. That's what I was saying before. It's like, I like these games, but you feel incomplete playing a game like this sometimes. I feel like my playthrough, I felt pretty complete, but in some cases, you feel like when you fucked up something or a weird plot line emerges because something else happened, but it wasn't the main idea, it feels a bit strange, if that makes sense. I think there's some holes in the plot of Shelby's. What, with him wanting to do this to people and their families?
For their children, but in doing so he has to live with the fact that he's tearing apart families. He's leaving children without parents, wives without husbands. He's putting survivors through all the same pain that drives him. In this scene he has to contend with this, and we see humanity in the killer. He arrives to collect evidence of his own killings to destroy it, but in doing so he saves 2 lives. Later in the story, Scott will kill close friends and confidants in cold blood and go on massacres in the homes of his enemies. But we also see him at numerous times save people's lives and protect the most downtrodden in society from immediate harm. It's this contradictory set of morals that is central to what makes the game work. While Scott is the premier example of this, there are aspects of this in every character's storyline. Norman Jayden is an enforcer of the law, but he's also a drug addict. He harasses, arrests, and sometimes outright kills people for their indulgence in crimes that he also commits. He's a part of the system that he punishes others for participating in, just like Shelby is. Ethan is a character plagued by similar double meanings and contradictions. A major red herring in the game is the idea that his blackouts are indicative of a split personality, that he is the origami killer, and he's punishing himself for the loss of his first son by taking away his second. This would have been more compelling had the game lent more into the supernatural aspects cut in development. As it stands, Ethan just seems kind of awkward and his blackout.
True, this didn't go anywhere. This literally went nowhere as a concept. Like, it made you think he was the killer, but, like, that's it. There was nothing else that contributed to this game at all. Doing police work, you're bound to find yourself into some kind of bullshit that makes your past trauma surface. Probably. Well, I mean, it's... my favorite character in this game... Okay, let me ask you this. If you've played this game, who is your favorite character? Mine is still Shelby. Scott Shelby is probably the coolest character in this game. I don't think anyone else is, like, as deeply either disturbing or as interesting. Like, Ethan is just a dude. Madison is just a chick. Lauren, don't care. You think Madison, that's your favorite character? It lends itself to the character's instability? Oh, 100%. I guess so. I guess so. I would say Shelby and Jayden were my 2 favorite characters. Jason. That was Jayden. Yeah. I liked him as well. Too bad he got turned into a fucking hamburger, but, like, yeah, he was cool. Blake, I like how they even made you think Blake was the killer. Come on. He's not the killer. He's not the killer.
It's never explained or really factored into the story beyond the first act. But even still, this commitment to a theme is there, if not as well developed in the prior 2 examples. Across its 4 characters' plot lines, Heavy Rain grapples with nuance and complex themes, and though it can stumble and at times feel dated or heavy-handed, I think the most impactful scenes in this game are some of the highest highs in the medium. I felt strong emotion when playing this game, and that was the developer intention. In this sense, the game is a success. To explain the game's successes and failures in more details, let's move on from an abstract plot overview and instead explore the plot.
In beating this game, I felt more emotionally connected than I did kind of playing most of it. In fully seeing the story when it was completed, made me more invested in the story than me probably playing it initially. My big investment in the story at first was probably finding out who the killer was. You know, going through the trials, save your kid, find out who the killer was. That was like the most compelling thing pushing you forward, because that's what it's supposed to be doing. But once you know the full picture, then it sets in, and it's like, wait, that's even more fucked up. Right? Because you'd never know, obviously. throughout the game, you know, you're going after this place and, oh, what's going on here with this information? It leads you nowhere, and you're still just questioning what's going on, and, you know, when are we going to find this guy? What's the next clue? When it's revealed, you think back to every other scene that these fucking people were in, and you're like, wait, now it makes sense. Wait, that's disturbing. Wait, that's even worse than I thought it was. So they did good with that, I'd say.
Plotlines of each individual playable character with a look at what makes them work and where they fall short.
I really appreciated this romantic moment, but I gotta dash. See you next time, lover boy.
I don't like this character. Madison
True.
Page feels at points like a parody of how men write women. A young reporter with just as many ass shots as lines of dialogue, every single segment as Madison is her being ogled by the bad men or saved.
You know what this character reminded me of? Oh my god. Do you know what Madison reminded me of? It's clicking. She reminds me of the chick in Silent Hill 2 who your main character finds in Silent Hill. Who's just, like, not even real. What's that chick's name? She gets, like, shanked in the back by Pyramid Head. Maria? It might have been Maria, who was supposed to be some sort of, like, Laura? She was a figment of, like, James's, maybe I'm getting this wrong. It was supposed to be his ideal wife, like his vision of his wife or something like that, because his wife was dying of cancer. That's what she reminds me of. She doesn't even feel fucking real half the time. Like, it's so bizarre. She shows up. Was it Angela? It might have been Angela. It's one of them. She's got like the like skimpy outfit, and she follows you around, and it might be Angela. It might be Angela. Maria's the blonde one. It's the chick who dies in the hospital, supposedly, and then comes back to life. Maria? Yeah. So weird. It's the same feeling as this Madison character who kind of comes out of nowhere, and then she makes you feel like you have this, like your brain is just so cooked. Like, is this supposedly your guardian angel? Is this person actually helping you? Is anyone there with you this whole time? I don't like this character. I'm not really a fan of Madison.
The life of the good man who she inexplicably falls in love with immediately upon meeting and fawns over for the rest of the game. What she wants, what her entire deal is, what motivates her, that's largely irrelevant to the story, so is glossed over if not actively ignored. All of the scenes of her actually doing her job never made it past the concepting stage. It's actually possible to do an entire playthrough where it's never explicitly stated that Madison is a reporter. Dialogue still plays at the end where Ethan accuses her of fishing for a story, which is hilarious because it comes out of absolutely nowhere and makes no sense at all.
What are you doing here? Still looking for a story?
Did you know that Madison's insomnia comes from her being a war correspondent in Iraq? No, because they cut it out. Did you know she was going back to her office to report on the Origami Killer case between scenes? No, because they cut that out. In one of the game's endings, Madison gets approached by an ominous figure in a sort of sequel setup that never amounts to anything. What a strange choice. Everything about this character goes nowhere. Madison could be entirely removed from the game and very little would change. Her segments aren't particularly consequential.
I would love it. Imagine if they made Madison a figment of his imagination, of him still being with his wife and having the support of his family. Like, his wife being there when his kid's gone and she's helping. But he's so deeply disturbed that, like, he's just imagining her. And that was kind of like his version of her or something. Silent Hill. I don't know. It's so... yeah, this character sucked. I'm not gonna lie. This is probably the worst character in the game.
She doesn't have the same emotional depth or thematic weight as any of the other playable characters.
I think some people
when I
do.
realized I was going to be playing as her for a given segment, I sighed and braced myself for approximately 10 minutes of gratuitous fan service with no plot bearing. The most obvious example of this is the extraordinarily long scene where she has to dance to get a man's attention before going and stripping for him to get information that will solely benefit Ethan Mars, a man she met less than a day earlier. This scene is especially bizarre as immediately after she leaves, Norman shows up and has a far more interesting set piece in the exact same location. All of Madison's scenes are like this. She oscillates between being Ethan's carer and being attacked, ogled, or some strange combination of both by one-note villains. There are very few scenes where she discovers something that the other characters couldn't find out in far more interesting or compelling ways, and she is the character who I would least notice the absence of if she was completely cut. Half of her story is already cut content, and what remains isn't particularly interesting.
And who the fuck was this guy, the Discord mod, working at the motel? Like, hello, my pretty. Like, who is this guy? It's like, so the two weirdest fucking people outside of Madison is this guy, this fucking dude, and the doctor. Who the hell is the crazy, gut-stealing, organ-selling doctor? Who the fuck is that? So strange. That kind of took me out of the thing. Yo, dogs, thank you, man. It was, yeah, so weird, though. Like, there's elements of this game, everything feels grounded, but then there's elements of it that feel so over the top that you almost feel like you're not even in reality. This guy and the doctor are just, like, side quests.
This game's greatest failing is Madison. All the clunkiness and tropiness of the writing is on full display during her story. The game fails utterly and completely in telling realistic or emotive stories with her, opting instead to fall back on the laziest and least creative possible plot beats. I felt nothing when playing as her. Perhaps a bit of secondhand embarrassment and a vague sense that whoever wrote this didn't really know what they were going for. Frankly, this is terrible, even by the relatively low standards of writing women in games, even back in 2010. Where everyone else you can play as feels at least a little bit like a real human being with actual motivations and goals,
True.
Madison feels like an anime waifu trapped in the body of a Western game protagonist. Easily the worst playable character
It is.
and the most concrete example of this game's failures in terms of realism or commitment to proper handling of themes without falling back on tired tropes.
Well,
Impounded in a
probably.
police case 5 years ago. The gun is still supposed to be in police custody. Who checked it out? If not a cop.
I love Norman Jayden because most of his scenes are just him standing at murder sites hitting the Zoolander blue steel face.
How can we be expected to teach children to learn how to read if they can't even fit inside the building?
David Cage is a lot like George R.R. Martin in that
That movie is... the Zoolander quote. True.
steel face.
How can we be expected to teach children to learn how to read if they can't even fit inside the building?
David Cage
It's
is a
so
lot like
stupid.
George R.R. Martin.
That was a scene where he was shown a scale model of, like, the library. It's so stupid, man. That was a good movie. Anyways.
And that he needs to write a character a few times before he really knows how to use them in an
Sam tells Madison about Adrian the Doc Baker, a former surgeon who writes illegal drug prescriptions and owns the Marble Street apartments. She rides her motorcycles to his house under the pretense of buying Betrovin for her insomnia, and she can't leave the house after finding a car in the Blue Lagoon with her name, Paco, written on it. That's so stupid, though. Like, we know, like, sure, but, like, it feels like a side quest. It feels like a weird, like, villainous NPC. It feels like a random Baldur's Gate encounter NPC. Or, like, Red Dead Redemption, like a random wild encounter. And then he never comes up again. It's so strange.
narrative. Martin's iconic A Song of Ice and Fire is brilliant in its character writing, partly because Martin had been developing a lot of the archetypes in it for years across his earlier writing. Norman is a character who feels like a missing link of sorts between the earlier Fahrenheit and the later Detroit Become Human. A lot of the ideas in his storyline are
What is that? What is that? I don't want to see that. That's spoiling.
segments heavily contrast the
I have to skip that. We haven't played that game.
gritty realism of the other three characters' roots. His story at times feels at odds with how serious and grounded the rest of the game is, but that's not to say that there isn't an attempt to handle difficult topics with him. Norman's dependency on tryptocane is an interesting facet of his characterization that gives depth through implication, more so than clever handling of the theme. This is good, but you have to meet the developers halfway with how clunky things sometimes are. The concept does a lot of the heavy lifting. As mentioned earlier, Norman is a corrupt law enforcer. He himself breaks the law, but punishes others for doing so. This likens him to his partner, Detective Carter Blake, who is an extremely corrupt cop who brutalizes
Okay.
innocent people to get his way. Blake and Norman come into conflict, but both are, in their own way, corrupt and hypocritical. This moral ambiguity is a central theme of the story. Nobody in
This room reminded me of Seven. One of the weird Seven rooms. I think it was the one with, like, all the fucking, I don't know what I forgot which room it was, but it was stinky. Something stinky. It just reminded me of all like the air fresheners or something. What a weird ass set piece, but very, I guess, of the genre.
Corrupt cop who brutalizes innocent people to get his way. Blake and Norman come into conflict, but both are, in their own way, corrupt and hypocritical. This moral ambiguity is a central theme of the story. Nobody in this story is a complete hero or villain. This game operates in shades of grey, and this side story is just one example of this. I appreciate the inclusion of Norman. He's the most overt example of this game's characters coming into conflict with one another. Letting the player play as opposing forces is a genius way to build immersion and conflict within the player, causing them to sometimes sabotage themselves as they determine who they want to root for. It works wonders to place the player in the role of both detective and suspect, opting for unique outcomes depending on which conflicting force they most align with. I've been arguing for a long time now that other narrative games should do this. Supermassive games would benefit greatly from this approach. This eliminates a lot of the idea of good or bad choices, instead giving the players options to align themselves with particular characters when playing solo, or allowing players to play a sort of cat.
This feature was kind of lame. I felt it to be a bit jank. I think the idea is cool, where you can kind of delve into like what you've collected, and here's the information, and you know, the location of it. But at the end of the day, I feel like it was just a bunch of crap. It was just a bunch of information that didn't really tell you enough for you to care. Like this was one of the more less interesting things with this guy. Not the cool glasses and the glove, but more of like, I guess, the information this is shown. Some of it is relevant, some of it's great. I guess it's just the way it was kind of portrayed. It looks so, with the controls, I mean, it's like you're in Cyberpunk. It was engine flexing. That's exactly what it was. I don't think well, his addiction didn't matter in the end because he didn't have a nose to snuff any more drugs with, so I think the addiction thing would have mattered more if he was a prominent character in your playthrough. For me, he died. For me, he got turned into hamburgers, so like, I guess the addiction didn't matter so much, but yeah. Exactly. I was gonna say, if you did more with his drugs and stuff, most likely. Yeah.
A mouse game we're doing a pass and play playthrough. That said, Norman's futurism and the surrealist leanings of his story are sometimes at odds with the rest of the game.
Exactly. That's literally what I just said. It feels like you're in Cyberpunk.
His segments can feel strange or tonally inconsistent. Perhaps had the game stuck...
Sorry, let me go to the bathroom real quick and then we'll finish this. One sec. Mochi! All right, we're back. Oh my god, the bathroom. Sorry. Okay, let's go. Yeah, you know what I was just thinking of while I was on the can? Why do they always have a detective sequence in games where you kind of enter your own little mind space? The number one thing this brought me back to was like Alan Wake 2, where when you're playing as the chick, you have your own little like detective room where you can sit down and go through files and this and this and this. That one was more interesting. Obviously, the whole game is just nuts, but sometimes I do feel like these spaces, for the sake of this game, the first thing I said was it's just engine flexing. That's what other people say as well. You know, it's like pick your background. You know, your little fall background in the woods, or you've got like your mountainous top with clouds. Sherlock Holmes Mind Palace trope. Yeah, it's really, I mean, you know, you got to sit down and think through things, sure, but there's a lot of bullshit. You know, you're looking at this, and my number one thing was like, what's all these numbers? It doesn't matter. It's just, it's visual information to make you think like you're smart.
Supernatural leanings, this will be less the case, but as it stands, in the release game, Norman feels a bit out of place.
Like all of this
is
you know what I mean?
In Norman's endings, it's possible for him to completely miss the plot, do nothing, fail, and then quit the FBI.
What?
It's also possible for him to die and then get uploaded to the cloud as a sort of digital force ghost, going on to tutor Detective
We had that one.
Blake, even if he absolutely hated Blake and the two ended the game as enemies. He always feels distant from the mystery, his personal involvement in the plot is minimal, his endings sometimes feel anticlimactic or at odds with the themes of his story. Again, this...
They wanted to show off their ideas and they did it. I don't mind that. Today everyone is scared of doing things. Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. I just feel like the way it was presented in terms of like, it wanted to look sci-fi, but it looked too cyberpunk. If there was a way to kind of like tone it down just a little bit, I think it would have looked a lot cooler.
This is a character archetype I enjoy. I think it has a lot of merit and in this instance contributes a lot to the game's moral ambiguity, but at the same time it can feel at odds with the overall tone. I think Norman is a good medium point between the ideas of Fahrenheit and Detroit, but having seen all these ideas better deployed in a future installment, I've become more aware of the failings here, failings that later get remedied. In short, Norman is an interesting character with unique set pieces when viewed in a vacuum, but the specific implementation of his character falls a bit short. That said, I appreciate his inclusion and enjoyed playing as him. I like the segments where you sit in the cupboard and solve mysteries with your Google Glass.
Pretty much.
Am I grown up now?
God, they're so greasy looking. They don't even look human. They're so greasy. This whole intro scene really kind of like took you out of it a little bit. Although, in thinking of how happy he was in his billion-dollar house with his wife and his two kids, it looks like I'm watching The Hobbit. Yeah, Too Much Bloom. To then having him kind of like lose all of it and be like massively depressed with no life. I guess that was the point. This is his heaven. It's the contrast of everything being too bloomed, I guess you could say saturated, and then the second you have that tonal shift of like, I'm in heaven, and then his son dies and he's like, it's like the war meme, right? Like everything becomes so incredibly dark after the intro. Maybe that could be a thing, you know, like this was his peak, this was his like happy place. Obviously it's with your family, but he had no troubles in the world.
That's not exactly grown up, but you're getting there.
Ethan is the main character of Heavy Rain and the one we spend the most time as. I personally appreciate the immersion inherent to playing as this character, with long segments establishing his character, his motivations, and letting the player really understand his situation. Though I appreciate to others these lengthy segments may be considered boring. I like boring things.
I don't think they were boring.
Video essays. Boring is my whole deal. Ethan's ongoing struggle and gradual deterioration into a complete mental
I don't think there was ever a boring part in this game, because I think the mystery in itself was so compelling to the point where it drove you to keep playing. I didn't think this was boring at all. Actually, I don't think this game was boring, like, in the slightest.
Break works well enough as a plot driver as well as a red herring, with Ethan being the primary suspect for much of the investigation. Most of this was cut, and that does make his story at points confusing. Ethan's blackouts and visions and randomly waking up with origami in his hands goes nowhere, all the context is missing, so these scenes feel confusing.
True.
Initially, these were supposed to be due to a supernatural spiritual link he has with the origami killer, but the team dropped this plot point, so now Ethan just has oddly origami killer coded blackouts and visions for no particular reason. I guess it could happen to anyone if they got hit by a car hard enough. Despite these hiccups, Ethan's trials are some of the best and most tense content this game has to offer, presenting the player with highly emotive moral choices that drive the story. Ethan has to get his hands dirty to save his son, and this isn't an empty threat. It's possible for Ethan to fail to find his son if he doesn't complete the challenges, leading to the death of Sean and Ethan's eventual suicide. You can lose this game.
Is that really what happens? You pass away? You personally pass away? You solo pass away? Really? Oh my god. I mean, I was under the impression that your child could die, but like, the fact, okay. Well, that gets a whole lot darker.
There isn't an illusion of choice here. You actually have to solve the mystery and take part in the challenges. If you just assume you'll get to save Sean because that would be the most cathartic ending, then you're wrong and you'll be...
I did get that ending because I cared and I played this game thoroughly and I tried to understand everything and I was smart and I rethought every single process, scene, name, accent, smell, and piece of information I was presented with the entire game, and I saved my kid. I saved him, but I couldn't save my fucking marriage. My wife left me. She's gone, and my other son's dead. And the killer is gone.
Punished for that assumption. These challenges all ask the same question, a question that is central to the game and part of what makes it so great. How far would you go to save someone you love? Outside of simply harm to himself, Ethan has to risk harm to others for the sake of saving someone he loves. There is a segment where he's asked to kill another father, a man who shows him pictures of his daughters. He has to rob children of a father to save them.
Is that really the scene that I missed? That was when we had to go beat up the crackhead and kill him. He's like, go kill this guy if you're... It was the 4th trial. And he said, go kill this guy. And I go into his apartment, and I pull out the gun, and he pulls out a shotgun, and my fucking fingers become pretzels, and I'm on PC, so it doesn't work to begin with. And we fail that trial. Does he really do that? The guy pulls out pictures of his kids, and he's like, please, and then you just shoot him anyways? That's pretty fucked up. Hi, Mochi! Mochi! What's up, little buddy? Hi, Mochi. Mochi's here.
His son. This is one of the most difficult choices in the game. The man you can murder isn't a nice guy by any means. He's a drug dealer who tries to kill you.
Yeah,
but
literally.
Even still, should you become a murderer and break apart a family to save someone close to you? Could you do it? You can choose not to do this, but in doing so it's harder to save Sean. In the final challenge, you have to drink poison that will actively kill you. You need to risk losing your own life to save someone else in the ultimate act of self-sacrifice. It's this commitment to genuinely interesting moral dilemmas that shape Ethan's story and make Heavy Rain genuinely brilliant at points. These are compelling dilemmas, unlike those in, say, The Devil in Me. They actually make you think about what you would do in this specific situation instead of just thinking about what the correct button to press is to progress the story. Though
Well,
Ethan's
true, he
story
did,
is a
yeah.
point subject to
Yeah.
plot holes, and some of the voice acting choices with him are interesting, to say the least.
Time for a snack. Maybe Sean is hungry.
The commitment to morality and really...
I literally said this is like feeding an animal. Like, when I was at home trying to feed my fucking Tamagotchi child, like, the dialogue is so robotic and trash. It's like, it's not even the voice acting. Well, the voice acting is part of it, but it's more of the voice direction, right? Because you're being directed by somebody, and it was probably like, okay, you're talking to a child, but the child is a Tamagotchi, go. And you have no emotion, and you've been brain dead for 22 years. No. Some of the line delivery is so bad. It's so void of emotion. Like, hi, do you want to eat food now, human child? It's like, yo, what do you want to eat, man? I got some food. Like, even I could walk in and probably do it a bit better. Yeah, this whole kitchen scene, again, the intro was a bit rough, but the game picked up exponentially, and it became so much better than just the intro. Yeah.
Interesting, to say the least.
Time for a snack. Maybe Sean is hungry.
I mean, it sounds like you're even in a fucking Tamagotchi.
The commitment to morality and really asking the player questions instead of just presenting them with obvious good and bad choices is the driving factor that propels this game into so many people's list of best games. It is a truly compelling, dramatic narrative, and Ethan's storyline is a major part of this.
I agree.
Ethan's storyline, whilst far from perfect due to cuts and some strange choices, does that thing I'm always talking about on this channel really well. It has a strong thematic concept and executes it well. Again, the entire arc of this...
100% I agree. Surface level, this game can come off as very corny. And like, oh, I've probably seen this before, but like, it's actually compelling and it is good. And if it's a game that makes you want to keep playing it and figure out the mystery, and by the end of the mystery, you're like, no fucking way, are you serious? That's the game. It did exactly what it needed to do. And I think it did that for me completely. I agree.
Is built around one simple question.
It's charming.
This is what makes good writing: commitment to a centralized thesis or point, and in-depth exploration of it.
Thank you. You saved my life. I already regret it.
I didn't save this
Scott
guy.
Shelby is far and away the most effective character in Heavy Rain, and a major part of why I can confidently claim that this game has some of the best moments in the medium. Where the other characters sometimes feel half-baked or like they're missing something, the entirety of Scott's story is a masterclass in pacing and thematic depth. We get to be in the head of a mass murderer, and in doing so we see the humanity and emotional rawness beneath it all, whilst being treated to some foreshadowing and being given glimpses of the darker side of the PI. The mystery of Shelby is really good. You can figure out that it's him before the ending. I think most people have a rough idea that it's him during the club confrontation with Norman, but there's enough obfuscation to make this a mystery that is
I didn't know who this was. It wasn't even dawning on me. The second they show you his watch, I'm like, oh my god, it's the police chief. But he doesn't matter. But it's still someone in the police force. And he's an ex-cop. He's done, right? He retired. And he became a private investigator. And he has that watch that everyone chips in for, I guess when they hit lieutenant or something like that. I can't remember what it was exactly. The only indicator that I would ever think in my mind that this is Shelby is because the dude is big.
Rough idea that it's him during the club confrontation with Norman, but there's enough obfuscation.
That is just such a big dude.
To make this a mystery that is difficult to solve, but not impossible. Of a focus group of 70 participants who played the game prior to release, 0 of them figured out the killer. Of course, because I am very, very smart and handsome also, and also really cool, I figured it out. But I know a lot of people who...
No, you didn't. I would not play this just by looking at it, but it was fun. The old man repairs watches. He does that, and he does typewriters. Rework version, proper budget, proper voices. Oh, this story. Here's the thing. The story and the narrative of this game holds up completely. It's everything that's surrounding it. The jank, some of the weird, cut content, the decisions. The narrative and the core of this game is incredibly solid and incredibly compelling. So there is no reason that if they did a remake of this game that it wouldn't be successful. It just, you have such a great premise. Everything to work with. You just have to polish it. You have to make it a little bit more nice in terms of its presentation. That's really all this game was missing. And then, of course, reinstating, cut content or changing a few things with him blacking out and all that crap, giving Madison a proper story. Yeah. You'll probably like Indigo Prophecy. Well, this game was good. I mean, we're playing a bunch of games currently. Next game we're playing after this actually is Dying Light, so.
Didn't. In spending so much time in Scott's head, we get to see how he thinks, how an almost mythologized killer acts in their downtime. We get to see him make friends. He has a sweet mentor relationship with the prostitute Lauren Winter, a woman whose son he killed. This
so weird.
mentor-mentee relationship does turn into a romantic one randomly with no setup or chemistry in one of her final scenes because Cage can't help himself and all women in his games are little more than love interests for the cool men who aren't at all self-inserts. Why would you even say that? I'm not sexist, I'm not! But for the most part, this relationship is compelling and enjoyable until it falls off a cliff in that one scene. Her spitting on his grave in one ending is such a bittersweet moment because she hates
What? She spits on his grave in one of them?
What he did to her. But in this route, he has saved her at least once. He seems to have genuine care and affection for her, but he can't undo the harm he's done. A similar outcome happens if he chooses to save her, then gets away with the murders. She uncovers his identity and kills him. Scott's investigations into the killer being revealed as him finding and destroying evidence makes sense, but his sinister motives are obscured by how kind-hearted and outright heroic he is at points. His subplot with the investigation of the copycat origami killer Gordy Kramer is a great example of this duality in motive. He's avenging a child who was killed by an unstable rich kid who didn't kill for any reason other than boredom and emulation of a killer, an act of senseless cruelty that Scott would probably be opposed to given what we know about him. But there's also the sense that he's outraged.
This scene was so bad. This is such a bad scene. For a game that is so... I guess it's supposed to be grounded in realism. I mean, it's a whole drama with real people, with real psychological issues. And then you've got, like, a fucking time crisis scene with the biggest guy in the game who moves like he's fucking Fizz. He's not even reloading his gun. There's 90 enemies that show up, and every button you click is a dead guy. Like, he's instantly popping them. It's a comedy. It's so weird. This was one of the worst scenes in the game. Yeah, it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre.
Someone daring to copy him and then attempting to kill him.
It's time
His
crisis.
massacre at the Kramer mansion feels cathartic as Scott is attacking a group of corrupt elites who are demonstrably covering up the murders of innocents, but are also enabling a serial killer enacting bloody vengeance on people for daring to emulate him. As mentioned
That's a weird
earlier,
one too.
Scott is the focal point of my favourite scene in the game, and throughout all of his earlier segments, the game is at its best in terms of cultivating emotion. Seeing the victims of the origami killer, overwhelmingly poor, downtrodden, and overlooked, the kinds of people we see victimized by detectives.
Look how stupid everyone is. Who are you hiring? Like, this is what I mean by, you have to... I know it's a game, and people have to feel like they're playing a game, but then why dial in any sort of, like, believable plot or anything when you've got characters who are beyond NPCs? Look at this dude's face. What is... Well, that's not the point of it, but... You know, they're like... I see you. I'm looking at you right now. You're Scott Shelby. You're the freak. I'm the fucking private security this guy hired, and I see you. I'm gonna kill you. Oh! That's all of them. That's like every character ever who comes up against, like, the protagonist. It's so weird. But I guess it's a game.
Like, we get an insight into the humanity of Shelby, but that also makes this plot twist even more horrifying. His meddling in these lives is depraved and cruel.
It is.
And the victims he chooses show a clear systemic victimization of the most vulnerable in society. He exclusively targets the mentally ill, the poor, immigrant communities. He's no different to those he opposes. The Kramers and Carter Blake all indulge in the same punching down and wanton cruelty. Though he frames himself as a moral crusader exposing the cowardice of others, in terms of the real material outcomes of his murders, Scott is fundamentally no different to any other societal ill that befalls these people. Most of them are shown to already have struggles and difficulties in their life, and all he has done is exacerbate this. Children like Emily Bowles and Sean Mars grow up in the same conditions that traumatized him, and he sees no issue with this. Similarly, in covering up his murders, he's financing men like Paco Mendez and Adrian Baker, who are sadistic torturers and murderers. Scott Shelby is a depraved man, but his motives and actions are all born of unfair tragedy. The very same strong emotions that made him a serial killer also lead to him saving the lives of numerous people. But his pursuit of vengeance against the world turns him into an enabler of the systemic factors that push people downwards into the kinds of despair and poverty that haunted his childhood home. To return to the words of Cage, my primary goal is not exactly to tell stories. My primary goal is to make you feel something. Above everything else in this game, Scott Shelby is a success when measured against Cage's intention. The complexity of his character, the emotive gut punches of his storyline, how horrifying and shocking the twist is, the slow decline from unabashed good guy facade to his massacre of the Kramers and his...
Honestly, again, like I said, even in Red Dead Redemption, Micah and Dutch are some of my favorite characters. I know everyone loves Arthur and John easily, obviously, but like a good villain that you care about is hard to beat. Like obviously the good guy is fun, or I guess there's no real good guys, I guess you could say, in Red Dead outside of, like, well, they're in a gang. I guess none of them are good. They're all kind of gray spaces that eventually come to, you know, the realization. But this guy was like the most likable person in the game, and then he instantly became an absolute psychopathic freak. It was like a switch instantly flipped on in this guy's head, and he's like the father or something that you knew your whole life. Like, oh, let's go out fishing. Yeah, bro, let's go down and do some brewskis. Yeah, and then one day it's like Satan enters your mind and flips a switch, and it's like, that's basically this guy. He was the best character in the game, easily, and my favorite character, so
Unhinged final
they did him really well.
There's so much to love here. This is a brilliant story told well. Scott Shelby is, in many ways, one of the greatest characters in the medium of gaming, and a total success for Quantic Dream, the real standout character of Heavy Rain.
Exactly. Literally that. Exactly. 100%. So good. The chickens! Ah, the chickens!
All things considered, Heavy Rain is a game of contradictions with numerous glaring issues, yet it's earned its place as one of the greatest games ever made in spite of this. Despite...
Sorry, who's saying that? Who's saying that? Source? Grok? Who's saying that? Who? I don't know if I don't know if this is one of the greatest games ever made, but like it is certainly one of the most memorable. Like, I'm never gonna forget this game. In a way. There are forgettable games, but this is one that you actually beat, and then you'll think about quite a bit, I'd say. Joffrey Lannister, I want reason to hate them. There are, well, villains, there's always some sort of, like, gray space with villains these days. It's hard to just make someone so vile, you know?
Despite rocky development, cut content, and some half-finished characters, there are moments of sheer brilliance that elevate this game massively. In terms of having a vision and delivering on it, this game is by and large a success in spite of everything. This game tackled heavy themes and difficult topics, and for the most part handled them with tact and depth, a feat I can't really imagine most game development studios doing, even now. This commitment to a vision, going as far as to turn down a Microsoft publishing deal to deliver on it, is commendable. This game's highs are some of the highest. The critical acclaim and commercial success is well earned. When judged solely by its most impactful scenes, Heavy Rain is unlike anything else. Characters like Ethan and Scott are great examples of this. Both characters have immensely moving scenes, some of the best in the medium. Some aspects of this game haven't aged particularly well. Some aspects were bad for the time, but I still highly recommend this one-of-a-kind experience. It's one of my favourites and has been for a long while. This game was a major stepping stone for the kind of things that games were willing to touch on. It was a huge success.
It is very taboo, though. It is very taboo to have kind of kids be the central point. Well, I guess you've got, like, what? Pennywise, Sinister, Black Phone. I guess there are mediums. Well, there's movies and games and things where you've got kids kind of, like, not being alive anymore as, like, the main point of what's going on. But Five Nights at Freddy's, yeah. It's still a bit taboo. Especially showing the bones of children, like, that's just, you know, that's life for games like this, but yeah, this game makes you like a detective that kidnaps kids. That's the craziest thing, but you would never know that, right? That's why it's so good. You'd never, if you knew that initially, you'd be like, what the fuck? Satan, take him. Instead, you're like, God, please save Shelby. And then when it happens, it's like, God, I lied. Please kill him. Like... Yeah, I mean, it's a murder mystery. What a great game.
And introducing people to the interactive movie genre, it built upon the successes of Fahrenheit brilliantly, setting a foundation that will be the bedrock for Quantic Dream moving forward. Judged by most metrics, Heavy Rain is a success in spite of myriad failings. Like I've said.
Yeah, I would say press 1 if you like this game. Like, genuinely like this game. Not like it's the greatest game ever, but it is a good game. I would press 1. Yeah, literally, I press 1 too. This game's good. I like it as well because there's no baggage to it. Even though some of the endings can set up a sequel and all this stuff, it's a good one-off, strong, compelling story that is a fun play that is memorable. And I think that's exactly what a game needs to be. Memorable, fun, and compelling. And it was, all three. So, well, and of course other things, but yeah. So that was Rat Tat, the best bad game, Heavy Rain analysis. I think the only other thing we should probably do is watch the endings of Heavy Rain. Which, unironically, the endings video is, like, longer than that video itself. I think that's just it. So let's take a look at the endings of the game. And from that, I think we will wrap it up with Heavy Rain and call it here. So let's do that. Heavy Rain, all 17 endings. So this is by the Gameplay Hut 8 years ago. All 17 endings. Fucking hell! How many games did they make? Jesus. Supposedly all 17 endings.
Like it? It's ours.
Okay, so we got this. I'm gonna probably skip through these a little bit. We ended up getting this one. A New Life.
What happened? Earn
We got this one. So this is just everyone. The worst character in the game lives. Unfortunately, Madison. Ethan's alive. Sean's alive. And you find yourself a new place and you move on. There really isn't much here. You just walk around a building. Oh my god, our new life. We know this one. That one we've seen. So what's this one? A New Start. And this is maybe when you don't interact with Madison and you say, get the hell out of here, go write your story, piss off. Which, in hindsight, I mean, she shouldn't have been in the game.
Is this where we're gonna live now?
Only if you really, really want to.
Or if she dies? Okay, gotcha.
Until we
Yeah.
find something you like.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where we live, as long as we're together.
I will never let anyone or anything separate us again.
No, the audio's so bad.
We're stuck with each other, kiddo.
We're stuck with each other. Like glue.
Can I trust what my room is?
Sure thing, champ.
Show me where your room is in this prison cell. In a sick way, the trials helped him and his son bond again. Yeah, true. I mean, if you go through all of those, like, lengths to make your
All right.
kid
then I
not
think we
drown,
can stay here.
you know, the worth of a life in your life, right? I actually, there's a certain hominess to the voice actor of Ethan, because I really love the X-Files, and Mulder, even though he's very monotone, is still such a great character. And I've got, like, fond memories of just watching that show, so I kind of feel like I'm watching the Chovy in this, like, character. It's not him, but, like, it's the same vibe. I'm not trying to say, like, oh, the voice acting is good because of that, but it just reminds me of that. Innocent. I'm innocent, please.
You're free to go.
So I'm assuming your kid dies, but you live? Oh, your kid lives. I feel like this could be a pretty good ending.
Sean has been waiting to see you for weeks.
Oh, what the fuck? Even the
I thought you
wife's
might
here.
like him to be here as soon as you got out.
Maybe they get back together.
Ethan, I'm sorry.
This could be a good ending. Oh, she doesn't care
Promise you'll
anymore.
never leave me again, Dad.
I promise, son. I never will again.
All right, that wasn't a terrible ending. Ethan's grave. Oh, God. So this is where Ethan dies? I feel I've never gotten such a fucked up ending in our games. Oh, okay, this is pretty fucked up. Has there ever been a bad ending in one of the games we've played? Like, so bad to the point where we hated it? Maybe Cyberpunk? And then I came around to it?
Come on, Sean. We've got to go now.
Weird. Well, Cyberpunk's ending was me not going off with the Nomads and Panam, and instead taking a gig in space because I have a supposed like a little birdie told me that my cure is in space, so I take one more like heist. Yeah. I mean, sure. Phantom Liberty. No, that ending was good. Phantom Liberty, I think, was correct. The Origami Blues. I'm assuming he couldn't save his kid. Oh. God. Why show it? Why cut to black? Cut to black. Don't show that. No fucking media shows that. Cut to black. What the fuck? Why would you have that? That is not, I guess it's a 2010 thing. Oh my god, it's okay. Well, I mean, this is just, what the fuck are these endings? Oh my god. Okay. He lived happily ever after.
We'll go away from here, Ethan.
So this is if your kid dies. So this is if your kid actually tears in the rain, you're visiting his grave.
We'll start a new life. You'll get a job as an architect, and I'll work for the local newspaper.
Bro, Madison is just like a weird, like, spirit creature that you never asked for, but she shows up and then, like, is always there for you. So it kind of just, it's like a succubus. Yeah, okay, sure. You could say it's a succubus. I mean, succubus are usually evil. I don't think she's evil, but... Mochi! Hi, baby! Oh, Mochi! Mochi! Hi, Mochi! We washed... Okay, I feel bad for Mochi. We washed his toys, and we put a few of the ones that have squeakers into the dryer, and that fucking destroyed the squeakers. So, like, he was playing with his baby shark, and he was trying to squeak the arms, because he did that before, and they were all mushed and hard. So he was, like, biting them, but it just, nothing happened. Sorry, little buddy. But he's happy. He's still happy.
We'll rebuild our life.
Yeah, you have to air dry them, yeah.
How can I forget that my 2 sons died because of me? I loved them more than anything in the world.
I think the best voice acting from this guy came from the scene where he chopped his finger off. Like, that was, like, kind of horrifying. Like, the dude actually sounded like they chopped his finger off in real life just to get the sounds. No, that was good voice acting.
I want you to give me a child. A little boy with your eyes.
Okay, bitch, what? I want you to give me a child, and we'll watch him grow up together. Okay, calm down, woman. He don't even know you. I want you to... Standing over the grave of your child, a woman who just randomly came into your life and is obsessing over you and loves you. Give me a child. I want your seed.
A little boy with your eyes.
What the fuck?
And we'll watch him grow up together.
And then we can replace our dead son with this guy, with our new son. And we can forget about all the problems we had in the past. That is weird.
We'll be happy. We'll get through this, Ethan.
What? That's terrible.
Life has to go on.
I mean, he's literally dead. Look, he's dead inside. He's so void of life.
I'll be there to help you. We'll get through this nightmare together.
That is weird.
Just give me a few more minutes, Madison. I'll catch up.
So strange.
I'll wait for you in the car.
I hate this character. Oh, yeah, literally in the video essay, they were saying like, oh, she's only here for fan service. I mean, the first thing you do is see her naked in the shower. You literally take a shower with her. Like, not with her, but like you watch her take a shower. Like, it is just, her character sucks. And apparently there was a bunch of cut content where like she was supposed to be a war correspondent and all this shit in the news and stuff, and it would kind of make sense that she would be tracking down her next big story. It was so shallow. It was really, really shallow. Yeah. The two sides of the spectrum is like in the dirt, dead character, Madison, and then Shelby. Far right. Like, really separated. Amazing. Pretty trash. But, you know, oh well. It is what it is. I wonder if he'll want me to birth a child that looks exactly like his previous child.
No! Ethan, no!
Wait, what? Ah! What the fuck? Well, hearing what she just said to me, I don't blame the guy. What the fuck? Jesus. That's terrible. What are with these endings and why do they show you them? I guess for shock value, but it's even more shocking to kind of cut to black. Jesus. Okay, Jaden's end. Well, I got one of the Jaden endings. Not a good one. Oh, okay, so this is the uploaded one that we got. So if Jaden dies during your playthrough, he ends up getting uploaded into these glasses that he was using. And I kind of like the guy, but Blake and the police chief were very cold about it. And this felt so wrong to me.
He's being buried in 2 days in some godforsaken hole in the back end of Beyond near Washington. I have to attend as a matter of protocol.
I really did. This is such a... Actually, this scene actually made me feel pretty pissed off. It's such a minor thing, but like... Having played the guy throughout the game, and then you're with Blake, and Blake is a piece of shit, and it's always those dickheads who are worth nothing that end up living past you. You know what I mean? Like, how does Blake get to live, but Jaden gets to die, right? And they really don't fucking care. They don't care at all. Even though Jaden saved Blake and all this shit, he's like, I didn't fucking care about the guy. I'm not fucking going to his funeral. You know, it's... I didn't like this. I don't like these two.
I'll pass. Jaden and I didn't see eye to eye on much.
Yeah.
No problem. I understand.
Hey, sir, I still have his glasses. What should I do with them?
Well, we won't be needing them again.
Yeah, it just rubs me the wrong way. It's like, disrespectful, man. He wasn't even that bad. Good kid. And then he just puts the glasses on, and then he's inside Jaden's, like, mind space, and then he shows up. And he's like, you're finally here. This was weird. What the hell was this, though? Why his consciousness was uploaded into, like, his glasses? Like, what the fuck is that? Like, what? Another weird cyberpunk thing. This is like Kojima shit. That looks like Kanye. You're not wrong. That's basically Kanye. Why does it look like Kanye? Not this guy. This one's like, you don't own an air fryer? Why does it look like Kanye? That's so weird. Yeah. Anyways, he shows up in the mine place. Yeah, that's trash. Trash.
Sure you've thought this through, Norman? You've got a promising career ahead of you. It's a pity that...
With all due respect, sir, I'm done thinking. I need to lead something like a normal life.
Well, it came out way before Cyberpunk. Well, technically Cyberpunk came out way before this stuff because it was like a tabletop game, like a roleplay thing. So technically, actually.
I need to step back. At least for a while.
Will you be coming back to the FBI?
I don't know. I'm making no promises.
You can keep your Ari if you like. This one's going offline. There's a new model due next month.
You know what these glasses reminded me of? Has anyone seen the Carpenter film They Live? About people finding glasses that lets you see the true world that you're living in. That's kind of what these reminded me of, almost. Not that you get to see, it's the alien spotting glasses, yeah. That's such a great movie. What a fucking badass movie. It's so fun. That's kind of what it reminded me of initially.
I think you better take it back. It's just a little too...
Keith Richards and Roddy Pepper, yeah.
It won't help you where I'm going.
It's where the bubblegum thing came from.
The real world.
I'm going to the real world, not the cyber
Whatever you
world.
want. I hope you find what you're looking for, Norman.
I don't like this ending. No.
I hope so too.
In a way, I feel like him dying wasn't the worst outcome. Well, for him it was, because he's dead. But for me and my playthrough and my mental space of like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah. It was alright.
Our guest today is on the cover of Today's World magazine this week and has been hailed by the whole nation as a new hero for our times. Astonishingly, he almost single-handedly ended the sinister series of killings by the man known as the Origami Killer and saved the life of young Sean Mars. His determination, courage, and intelligence have won our admiration. Norman Jayden. Good.
I don't like that some of these endings focus on other characters that aren't Ethan, but I guess if Ethan ends up dying and you have to have an ending that is with a different character, I suppose so, but like this feels wrong. There shouldn't really be an ending. Whoa, no, sorry. Every character gets an ending. Every character gets their own little ending. Yeah, sorry, I'm being stupid. It just shows you how the endings happen. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Never mind. Sorry, overthinking. Okay. Is this him overdosing? Well, they're all main... Well, they're all main characters, but Ethan is the main character. He's the guy, right? Oh! Nice. He beat his addiction. I will never beat my addiction. I need more food. I need my pills. I'm going in. This is like literally Neo, bro. This is a Matrix thing. I'm ODing. Oh, God! No! It's the tanks. Oh, he's seeing them without the glasses. Oh, he's fucked. Psychological warfare.
What are you gonna do now? I don't know. Resign? Try to forget? I don't know. Is Tripto part of your plan to forget? It's the most effective way I found. Except it's not a solution. For the moment, I'm not looking for solutions. I just want to forget.
True. Maybe that would have been interesting to see.
I'm afraid things may have affected you more than you think. Why do you say that? I'm okay. I'm getting through this. Let's just take it easy. See what happens when it's all over. It may never be over, Norman.
What is this, the Outer Limits? Joker, thank you, sir. Okay, well, he OD'd. I would hate for this to be the end of the character. What a shit ending. I feel like the ending where Shelby killed him was like a decent send-off. I would say that was probably the most, well, maybe not my favorite ending for him, but like it was a fine ending. You know, the young kid from like Washington showing up, he's like, I'm on the case, I got it. And everyone's just a dick to him, but he's like down for the law, down for business, still a good guy at heart, and then he ends up getting killed and everyone else lives. Yeah. I don't know, I like that ending.
Our next guest is rumored to be about to receive a
No, it's not coping.
prize
It's not
for her
coping.
remarkable series
I don't know,
of
I like it.
investigative articles about the Origami Killer case. Showing incredible courage, her daring intervention led to the arrest of the country's most wanted criminal and saved the life.
I feel like skipping all of these because I just don't like her.
A woman who might well be the true definition of a heroine for the ages, Madison Page. Good evening. Thank you for
I hate this character.
with us. Now, you've been described as being both determined and tenacious. Two qualities, no doubt, that were needed to see you through the dark hours of this unbelievable story. Were you afraid at any time?
Thank you, Miss Page. I really admire you for what you've done. Thank you.
I like books. I like reading.
John, please.
I like smelling books.
We need more journalists like you, Miss Page. It's a good thing you were there to catch that bastard.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
That's at least what I wrote about. I didn't catch anyone.
What's your name?
Vincent. Excellent investigation, Miss Page. You are one brave lady. You deserve a better adversary. Somebody more ferocious.
Oh, this is the whole sequel bait. And he's gone. That was the weird sequel bait that they were talking about in the video, where there was like like, oh, the Origami Killer was great, but I eat children's toenails. Yeah, so come find me. What a weird ending, though, eh? It's like the what if. It's never gonna happen, but like, you know. Well, because that's what the Origami Killer killed children. That's what the guy did. And like, what's the next worst thing? I don't know, eating their toenails.
Nat? Sam? I'm worried about you, girl. You haven't answered your
What the
phone in
fuck
days.
was this?
Listen,
Okay, sorry, what was this shit as an intro? You start the game as this girl, and then you've got, like, masked assailants attacking you. What the hell was even this about? What? This is so random. She's a schizo as well? I think that's what it was. What? Like, I thought I was important.
Journalist Madison Page was laid to rest in Charity Cross Cemetery today. Her heroic death while investigating the disappearance of Sean Morris has made a lasting impression on the whole country. colleagues from the press are united in paying tribute
Thank God.
to this courageous journalist who
I don't like
sacrificed their
no
lives
one
in
likes this
service.
character, man.
I'm Brittany Sanders for ICN.
Okay, Brittany, it's a wrap.
Great. Let's get out of here.
I don't blame her.
Smoky clap cups made me hungry.
I like her. Well, that's because she promised you a child that looked like Ethan's child. Like she promised Ethan. I don't really feel much for this character. Ethan, different story, but like, yeah. I just couldn't really care. Oh shit. These endings, Scott's endings, these are probably the coolest. He's the GOAT. Oh shit. A mother's revenge. Wait, she's just... Oh, hang on.
None of the families of the victims ever hired you, did they, Scott? I called every last one of them. All you did was collect the evidence you'd left behind. Wipe out your past and feed on the misery of the parents whose children you'd killed.
Yeah, it's so fucked. That's more information, though. I thought he was working with them.
I swore on my son's grave that I would kill the man who murdered him. I'm gonna keep my word.
See, that's what you had to do for every other death with Ethan. You just cut to black. That doesn't even feel real. Like, what kind of weird ending is that, though? She's just standing in the middle of, like, some random street, and he walks up. Okay, that was a weird... That was weird. That's like the video game ending. I think this is the one we got, Unpunished. So we ended up getting this ending, and he just walks away. Yeah, he walks away. He walks away, and then there's a nationwide manhunt. Yeah. I like that ending. It sets up a bit of a fucked up sequel. So this is where he dies, and she lives.
You killed my son, Scott.
Okay, here's a weird question. Do you even have the right to be put in a grave if you end up a child killer and, like, are on a spree? Why would you even be put in a grave? Is that real? Like, that's a genuine question. It's like, oh, you know, Josephine Schnippernapper fostered and saved 32,000 dogs and fed them and loved animals until the day she passed. Scott Shelby killed a bunch of kids, and he's sitting right next to me in the plot. Is that, like, actually a thing? Flum, hello, sir. Thank you, buddy. Well, I mean, it's a genuine question, though. An unmarked grave? I don't know. It's so, like, it's just, it would be weird to see that.
About that when you held me in your arms.
Headstone and services paid by your taxes. True. What a great product of society Scott Shelby was.
Nothing can justify it anyway. I feel nothing but contempt for you. Nothing but contempt.
Kinky. All right. So those are all the endings, folks. That's it. Those are all the endings. Honestly, great game. I am going to leave Heavy Rain with a heavy number. I'm going to leave it at a 7.75. It's going to stay at a 7.75. I'm not going to up the rating to 8. I think it's in that sweet spot of like 7.5 to 8. It's right there. 7.75 is my verdict on Heavy Rain. Really good game. I liked it a lot, honestly. And I really like Shelby. He's still, again, in hindsight, when you think about Heavy Rain, the one thing that comes to mind is Scott Shelby. A serial killer who works with the fucking families that he took from. Right? It's like an instant flip of the switch in this guy's head, and he becomes the biggest monster of the whole game. When he's the number one character, you feel comfortable with. You feel like, oh, he's just a big, you know, loving, like, compassionate guy. Like, cool. And then he's not that guy. So, yeah. Rucked, thank you, sir, for the 65. YouTube, that is it for Heavy Rain. Really good game. Honestly loved it. Great game. He's just a worse Madison. You're trolling. Madison is by far the worst character in the game. That is Heavy Rain. That is everything. Those are my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the game as much as I did. We did beat the game very quickly, to be honest, but not quickly in the sense that, like, we rushed through it. We did it in one sitting. So that was like, what, 12 hours, I think the game was? I didn't expect it to be that good, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think much of it when I was looking at it, but, like, great experience, man. Great game. So, with that being said, YouTube, take care of yourselves. And the next game coming up is Dying Light. So see you soon for a brand new game. Peace, peace, folks. All right, Dying Light is up next.